Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second session on our second morning of GIS Day at the state of Indiana. Or as Carrie mentioned in our previous presentation I sat in on, this now GIS week. And who knows, soon we'll have a GIS month. Anyways, welcome to the presentation this morning. This presentation is Indiana Data Harvest, past, present, and future, and Marianne Cardwell and Sean Schuler will be our presenters. A quick intro on our presenters. Marianne Cardwell is a Director of Geoinformatics at the Polis Center at IUPUI and this year's IGIC President. She has over 20 years of experience in the GIS field and has focused on the application of GIS to disaster mitigation. She oversees the center's efforts to update counties and states' multi-hazard mitigation plan, create flood maps for Indiana, and update statewide base layers as part of the GIO's data harvest project. So welcome, Mary Ann. Sean Schuler is the GIS program director at the Geographic Information Office, where I myself also work currently here in Indiana. He received his bachelor's degree in aviation from Indiana State University in 1993 and earned a master's degree in geography with emphasis on GIS and remote sensing from ISU in 1995. Sean began his career facilitating planimetric conversion projects at GRW in Lexington, Kentucky, and was a project leader at the Polis Center, beginning in the late 1990s. He led the GIS interlocal between Wayne County government and the city of Richmond for 18 years, starting in 2002. During his career in Wayne County, he also worked with each partner organization to identify needs, determine effective GIS policy level decisions, implement practical effective GIS initiatives. He has served in multiple leadership roles within the Indiana Geographic Information Council and currently serves as treasurer. So I want to welcome everybody. We have 57 attendees for the presentation at the moment. That will, I'm sure, change. So I will turn it over now to Marianne and Sean.
All right. Thanks, Irv. Well, we're going to split this up a couple different ways. I'm going to take the first half, and Marianne's going to take the next portion. But so just starting out, the Indiana Data Harvest, I guess I really wish we could get a show of hands who's familiar with this and who's not. But anyway, the GIO office has been involved in the data harvest for a significant number of years. So let's, Marianne, go ahead and let's flip to the next. So about the slide. So we have yeah, since 2008, and this is where I was at Wayne County for many of these years until the last year. I was always on the local government side supplying this information to the GIO office. It's grown since then. There were definitely some struggles, some kinks to work out, and really getting those relationships going was sort of the biggest hurdle. And now that we have these relationships established, it's become a bit easier. Although it's still a little bit of a struggle with some of these map layers. But anyway, we've expanded the harvest as well. It used to be a little bit more limited to address points and streets. We also have parcels, and we've really taken a hard look at the just sort of the local administrative boundaries for communities, and expanding that list substantially as an option for communities to include those layers. So this was the major goals. It's really three parts, and it's a bit complicated, or but first is that consistency, and the consistency is what we've seen with the information. We're not able to fix the information necessarily because it's tied to local government, and that's where we need to help identify those gaps in the information, and also confirming the context is a really big part. And because within local government you can have maybe it's just one office, one individual that's responsible and has all the latest information, but perhaps it's it's a bit more diverse and split out within the different offices, and then also those communication tools, and that's that feedback to local government, and we're getting a little bit better, but that's something that we're still working on and in progress. And then the biggest I think one of the biggest well, the first and the third here is that data standard. And this year we took a big leap forward in identifying and just recognizing what the kind of the end goal is for the standard. So, and specifically for addressing, it's that NINA standard that's going to be kind of the gold star for us to the target for us to hit. And we put it out there for folks to counties to adjust and migrate their information to meet the standard, and we were very pleased with the outcome. So going on, let's see, and here I just we want to take an opportunity to give appreciation to those folks that are helping out with this project. And we have basically 3 different avenues of getting information from local government. We have the local government directly. We also have the WTH and Schneider Geospatial that assist hugely in getting this information to us. We also have on the research side and discussion side of this effort, we have IBRC and IJIC in representation. So, all right. So here's the 2020 effort. Let's get into what we did this year. And as you can see, we came up with we now have a site that users can go and download the information. And this is really, Mary Ann and I started out, and the others started out thinking this was going to be just a couple links. It ended up being quite a bit. We have a lot of different ways the information once users want to see the information. So we have the information broken out by layer for the entire state, and we also have the information broken out by county for all layers. And then we also have the geocoding service, and that's the geocoding service is one that I really appreciate having when I worked in local government, because the addresses I would get from departments didn't always stop at the county line, and likewise the map layers. Certainly I'm at the local level, you're the person to maintain and those layers. However, oftentimes with dispatch and other cases, I would come across needs to have those a region map available. So that's where this information I think could be very helpful for local government and sharing back. So, all right, moving ahead. And so here's a screenshot that we have of the information. So you can see we have the parcel layer that shows, and now the parcel layer is linked into to the DLGF, some of the core DLGF information. We have the address points statewide, and we also have the street segments. So.
Thanks,
Mary Ann, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So last year when we went through this project, we started reaching out to counties to ask for their data and to vendors in September. And then for the rest of the year through December, we worked on, incorporating all of the data, standardizing all of the fields, and augmenting the data as well. And I'll explain a little bit what I mean by augmenting the data in a future slide. And then from the first part of the year in 21, this took a little bit longer than we had expected, but we also integrated the data into an internal state geodatabase. We also developed the statewide geocoder, and I put together quite a bit of documentation for the process and the data itself. And then finally, we made all of the data available for download. And as Sean said, it's available both on a layer basis for the whole state or on a county basis, all of the layers. And then you can download the geocoding data and geocoder as well. In terms of the state data standardization, what we did was we set up a number of domains for some of the fields that we had, and especially for addresses that became very important. So your direction prefix and suffix, so north, south, east, west, northwest, etc. And also your street type, street, boulevard, road, and so forth. And the data we received oftentimes came as, just one field for the address, or it just wasn't always split up the way that we wanted it to be. So on the left side here, you can see an example of data we received from a county or a vendor. And on the right-hand side is the final way that the data was processed on our end. So you can see for the street name, we had the street name and the street type combined. And so we split that up into the street name and the street type. The direction, the field name wasn't what we needed it to be. So we needed to map it from the dir field to the address prefix field. The community, similar to the direction here, had to move to the correct field. The house number was moved over as well, the suffix, and then the zip code. So that had to happen for all of the address points and all of the street center lines, where we broke down the addresses into multiple fields. And to do that, sorry, I forgot to say this. To do that, I developed a number of tools to help me do this a lot more quickly. I'll go over some of the numbers later, but we had over 3 million address points, so it's not something you can go and do manually one by one. So I automated it as much as I could. And then we also augmented the data. What we did is we tried to refrain from changing the data that we received from the county outside of separating the address fields into multiple fields. But what we did is we added some fields for zip code. So Esri on its ArcGIS online platform has a zip code layer. And we used that and added 2 fields for the Esri zip code and the Esri post office name, and applied that to all of the address points. And we did the same with Parcels, I believe. And then for address ranges for the street center lines, we only had, we didn't get address ranges for all the street center lines in the state. So what we tried to do was append some information from the Census Bureau's Tiger data. And I tried to take into account the direction of the road, but we just added that in kind of as a reference point in case that's something that maybe counties would want to use to improve their data on their end or start incorporating some address ranges. But we just thought it would be helpful. And these same Tiger address features data was made available for Indiana and surrounding counties as part of the Geocoder. And then for the real property data, for the parcels, we also incorporated data from the Department of Local Government Finance. So within the parcels layer itself, we added a number of fields that incorporated basically the DLGF's address for that property, and also its occupation code. So that kind of tells you, is it commercial, is it residential, is it exempt, industrial, agricultural. And then we also made available a geodatabase with 6 tables that represent the real property data for the entire state. And we're doing the same thing in 2021. There are hundreds of fields that are available through the DLGF database. So it's too much for us to attach to each parcel, but we've made that data available, and you have a state parcel identifier that you can use to link to the DLGF data. So in 2020, just real quick, these are the results from that effort. We had over 500,000 street centerlines, and we had 430,000 of those street centerlines with address ranges. This may make you think that we have almost all of the streets with address ranges, but what happened is in some of the counties where we don't have street address ranges, the streets were just one road for maybe that goes through the whole county versus being split up at each intersection. And we did get data from all 92 counties. For address points, we had 3.2 million address points. And again, we received data from all 92 counties, which was pretty wonderful. And then for parcels, we had 3.5 million parcels. And again, we received data from all 92 counties. Administrative boundaries, we did not receive data from all of the counties. We had data from about 89 counties, and that's something we've really focused on this year to try to get data from all of the counties. And in total, we had almost 4,500 boundaries, and that's different types of boundaries. That can include incorporated areas, townships, school districts, voted precincts, and so forth. And we already mentioned that we developed a geocoder, but it was available with multiple locators. So it's a composite geocoder, and the state geocoder UTM-16 and state geocoder WGS-84 are the composite locators. As the name would imply, one returns coordinates in UTM-16 and the other one in WGS-84. And the components of that were this IDSI address is composed of the address points. The IDSI streets is composed of the street center lines, but only those street center lines we had with address ranges. Then we also had the Tiger streets, again, for Indiana and surrounding states. So that's Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky. And then we also had a city locator, a zip code locator, and a county locator. Of course, the best response or the best results would be if you get if it identifies the address through the IDSI address locator. So this year, we, as Sean already said, we went ahead and expanded the data schema. So anything you see here in yellow is new in the 2021 data collect. We have had a few counties that provided data in this format, but mostly we did not. So I'm working through and processing this data and splitting up the addresses into those various fields. But the big differences are for address number. You'll see that we now have a prefix and a suffix that we're including in here. The most common thing I've seen is a suffix with a half in the address number. And then the street name has been split up from just, I think, 4 fields into 7, if I recall correctly. So we have the pre-modifier. So if we have something like old, that's the most common one that I've seen, that will be split up into or extracted into the pre-modifier. We still have the pre-directional, so your north, south, east, west. We now have a pre-type. So a highway or state road, things like that. Those are the most common ones that I'm seeing right now. In some cases, they're pretty rare. We have a separator. So if you had something like Avenue of the Stars, Avenue would be a street name pre-type, of the would be the separator, and then Stars would become the street name. The street name, you know, that's your 5th and 5th Avenue or Main and Main Street, things like that. Post type, that is your streets, parkway, boulevard, road, etc. And then post directional, again, that's your north, south, east, west. And then there's also a post modifier, and I haven't really seen many of those yet, but some examples here would be, you know, Main Street North extension would be that post modifier. And then we have some additional fields here for the floor, the ESN number, MSAG community name. We've split up the towns and municipalities. So we have incorporated, unincorporated, and we also have your postal community name. We did not receive that data from most counties, but we have received it from a few, so that's kind of nice. And then we've also added a local identifier, and the goal of that one is to have a unique identifier that counties could be able to join back to. So if they wanted to incorporate some of the work that was done through the data harvest, they could use their local identifier to basically do a join and then be able to copy data over to their own data. We did something similar for the street centerlines. It'll look a lot of it is the same. So you can see all of those street names, the pre-modifier, pre-type separator, etc. Are there. We also have ESN, but because it's a road, we have the left and the right side every time. So for ESN, MSAG, incorporated municipality, unincorporated municipality. We also have the local identifier. And then we also have parity left and right. So we also have a dashboard this year. And I just want to show that off because I just made some changes today. And let me refresh it. The great news is, as of yesterday, we have received data from all 92 counties for all 92 layers. One big effort this year was getting the county boundary from each county, and we have received that. And a big shout out to the vendors as well, who have really stepped up and helped us out with a lot of those. But we have, like I said, all 92 counties for address points, parcels, general boundaries, and then county boundaries. And for street centerlines, we have received it from all of those. But what I want to show is those in blue, we have address ranges, and those in that orangey color, we have not received address ranges, but we do have the street centerlines with the street name on those. One big thing I want to show off today is we finished processing the parcels. We still consider it as a beta because we may find some little things as we go through some other data sets that we need to fix. But we've made that available already for you, not yet for download, but we do have a feature service available. So you can start adding that data to your own maps if you would like. And I've created a few bookmarks here. You're not going to see the parcels if you're zoomed out because there are over 3 million of them, and it just takes a while to draw those. But if you zoom into some of these bookmarks, you'll see that we have the parcels here. And you can click on a parcel and see all of the attribute information that we have for that parcel. I mentioned earlier incorporating some of the DLGF data. So these are the fields right here. Your property address, city, zip, and class code. And then you also have your state parcel ID, which you can use to link back to DLGF data tables, which we'll make available for download in the near future as well. And again, you can click on these other maps just to see the status of each layer and the collection, but this is a little overcome by events now since we've received it from everybody. In terms of timeline, we started a little earlier this year. So in early August, we requested data from the counties. We received it from most of them by the end of August, but we had a few stragglers, and we got the last ones, the last data sets we were looking for yesterday. But we've been processing, standardizing, augmenting the county data. As you saw, parcels are done. I would say 95% probably, maybe 99%. Working on address points right now, and then I'll probably work on maybe boundaries and then street center lines. But the goal is to get those done by the end of this year, and then in early 2022, in January, we will integrate that data into an internal state database, and then we'll develop the statewide geocoder, update the documentation, and make all of the data available for download. So we're very close. Just like we did with 2020, we did some data augmentation, but we used some updated data. So I downloaded the zip codes from Esri, and those were last updated in October 2021. So they're a little bit more recent than what we used last year. If you recall, I used the 2019 Tiger address features last year. This year, I used the 2021 address features. And then the real property data, if you're not familiar, the DLGF, I believe every August, requests data, assessor data from all 92 counties, and then combines it all into a statewide data sets. Last year, I used the 2020 Pay 2021 data, and this year, I am using the 2021 Pay 22 data and incorporating that to the parcel layer. And again, those 6 tables, which are parcel, land, dwelling, building, building detail, and another one that I'm forgetting right now, will all be included in a file geodatabase that you'll be able to download. The 2021 parcels, you've already kind of seen it, but we have 3.6 million parcels. Last year, we had 3.593 million parcels. So we have about 50,000 more parcels this year than we did last year. And again, we received data from all 92 counties. So Sean, all yours. You're muted.
Yep, there we go. All right, so what's next? We have some finalizing of the layers, like Mariana said. We're now that we've received all this information, we need to crunch through it. Merging it together, homogenizing it, and then also identifying the some gaps or where we can work on communicating back to local government and enhancing this information next time. So we have the geocoder that's going to be coming again. It'll be a bit better than last year. So looking forward to publishing that. We also have, this was the first year that we pushed out our address points to the National Address Database. So this National Address Database is where the federal government and also any large organizations go to dip in and see what statewide addresses are available. So that's a huge plus that we're able to contribute to. We also have the lessons learned. So part of this is going to be working with counties, better understanding who's in charge of what layers, and also working with the vendors perhaps a little bit more closely and establishing that understanding, just where to get the information. And then also a really important one is just this local government feedback and making sure that the local government is that we educate you on what we've learned. So we don't just absorb your information and create a statewide map, but we also give feedback. So that's going to be an important part of this process going forward. So that. So go ahead, Marianne.
Then when you said something, it triggered a memory about the geocoder. It'll be better. Obviously, it'll be better because we have new data. But I think another component of it is splitting up those addresses into multiple fields. I think one of the big advantages is standardizing things like state roads, US highways, and things like that. So last year that wasn't really standardized. So sometimes it was CR, sometimes it was county road. I didn't touch it last year, but this year I'm really making an effort to extract that information and putting it in a separate field. So I think that's going to help improve the geocoders themselves. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a few questions. So I'll go ahead and get started. Mike Hill says he references the parcel geometry daily. Thank you for that effort. And then he says on the GIO.countyparcel_GLGF_restricted, which is the enterprise geodatabase layer of the parcel data with the DLGF data sets tied to it at the state government center. It says the latest update date is null throughout the data set. This used to be the load date. Can you tell me what the date is for this field? So Sean, do you know the last time that data set has been updated?
It should be referencing the 2020 data. I'd have to just go and look at it and make sure. And yeah, we ought to update that field. So it's okay. It's up to date. Thanks, good. Mike.
And Jim Sparks asked, can he get to the data sharing dashboard from the GIO website?
Yes, you should be able to. Let me see if I can point to you how to get there.
Well, Megan has already.
Oh, okay.
She included a link to the
Great.
to the dashboard. It's just the question was is there a link from the GIO website?
Yes, there is. There are a couple pages that include, and I just went to the wrong one, but so I think this is the one. If you go to the data sharing page on the GIO website, there is a link in here to the 2021 and the 2020, or at least there should be. Here's the 2020 dashboard, and I think you can just click on this image here, and it'll send you to the 2021 dashboard. So yes.
So, sounds good. Okay, and then Eric Moster asked what ESN and MSAG stand for, and Megan had answered that question for him. Between Megan and John Milborn, that MSAG stands for Master Street and Address Guide, and ESN is the Emergency Service Number. Okay, and then Scott Valpanik asked, was there an alias field on the center lines?
No. So one of the things that we did this year, so last year, no, we did not have aliases. This year, following the NINA standard, we have a table that is used for aliases, but I did not receive it from, I think I may have 1 or 2 counties where I received a table for aliases. So unfortunately, that's going to be very limited in the 21 data set.
Okay, yeah, John Milborn noted as the idea was to have an alias table that ties into the GUID for the center line it corresponds to rather than a field in the center line attributes. So essentially what you said, but you gave additional information that it's somewhat limited. Would the counties that have alias data tables available, would that be included in the metadata for the for that county?
If I received the data, it will be included in a table that will be part of the geodatabase that you'll be able to download. But I could probably document it in the metadata, but there'll be, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of records in that table, unfortunately.
Okay, well, Scott Valek just posted that they're still building theirs and that we have hundreds of parcels recorded to addresses on alias street names. So more's coming. So this is definitely a rapidly evolving data sets. Okay, what do I have? Let's see, and Charlene noted that Avery noted that Indiana has submitted twice to the National Address Data Set in the past. And as I already mentioned, Megan posted the direct link to the data harvest dashboard. Jill Saligo Symbol says, terrific. Thank you, Sean and Marianne. And Charlene Avery also asks, is there a plan to add the Indiana addresses to ESRI's AOL World Geocoder?
Sean?
Yeah. We can certainly look into that. I'm not, yeah, we haven't looked into that yet, but I think that sounds like a good effort.
I guess they haven't asked for it yet either.
Yeah, they haven't asked for it. We did, yeah. Google did come asking, which they also get it from the National Address Database, but yep.
Okay, and Mike Hill says thank you, great presentation, Marianne and Sean. Diane Osborne says thank you. I mentioned what Scott, and then Jim Sparks says, will these new improvements help Indiana get ready for next gen 911? Something MSAG, ESN, flexible address fields.
So yes, certainly these latest the latest round of standards that we implemented this year are going to help us with getting ready for the NINA standard.
Okay, great. And then Scott Pettick again says fun stuff. And then Cindy Jones says, what is the name of the address point layer you mentioned?
I'm not, is it the National Address Database, Cindy?
I think, and Cindy, you can text that the actual layer that is available for download.
I think it's called county_address.
Let me see.
Is that what you get?
I mean, if you go to the 2020 dashboard, you can download the statewide address points layer.
It looks like it's county_address point. If you look down below there for the services, and I'm assuming that probably the layer name is the same as the service name.
I believe so.
Sure.
I was just using
I
it
am
the
a
other day.
presumptive person.
Yep, in our map.
And Cindy just said that was it, and thank you.
Okay, all right.
And Benjamin Schuler says, great job. Always great to have standardized data formats. And other than a few more thank yous, and that's all our questions.
Thank yous. I want to thank some counties, or at least give a shout out to a handful of counties. So let me get to the page. But there are a few counties that have provided us with the data and the format that we requested. So if you go to this website, and I'll put it in the chat, that kind of shows you the progress of everything and has some information. But one of the maps towards the bottom is kind of what we've been calling our gold star counties. So you'll see that, Lake County here, for example, has provided the data in all of the layers that we requested and the format that we requested it in. Elkhart, Allen County, Madison, Wayne. Hey, Sean, Wayne was good, gold star, and Vanderburgh counties. And then we had a handful of others that provided some layers in that new data standard. So I want to thank those counties for doing that. Not all the fields were always split up, but it really did make my life a lot easier. And I think it will improve consistency over time too. So thank you.
And that's,
well, let's hope
one.
Gold's over past the greens here in the next year or two.
Yeah, that's certainly something we also want to be working on here in the GIO office, is just supplying tools that allow county governments, to convert their data easily from their standard. We understand that the local government is tied to specific requirements in terms of their formatting and attributes. But if we can make that a little bit easier, hopefully we can get a few more gold star counties there. So.
Okay, well, there's a few more thank yous. Ray Grabner says thank you, but I think that's it. We're a few minutes early, so just folks, a few minutes. We have one more concurrent session at 11 o'clock, and then I want to remind everybody on the closing session, the beginning at 11:50, and if there are no other questions, I want to thank everybody and for your participation, and especially to Marianne and Sean for their presentation, and also for their efforts on behalf of the state of Indiana on getting this data harvest together and completed. It's been a Herculean effort, and it's very much appreciated by us in the community.
Thank you.